Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to Colonial Sports Center. It's been a few weeks since you've seen us, but in that time, spring has come a-calling. My name is Casey Irwine, joined by Cam Wickline. Cam, we have that nice warm weather today. It's storming outside right now, but we've got a hailstorm of Colonial Sports to bring to the people.
Yes, we do, Case. It's opening day, one of my favorite days of the week, but one of my favorite days of the year. But that means we've got spring sports kicking off. We've got our winter sports like basketball and hockey coming to a close. We're going to take a look at all of them tonight.
Yeah, of course. But Cam, let's first get into a little bit of what you've missed since our time off here.
Yes, starting at the Clearview Arena where the men's hockey team hosted the Air Force Falcons in a best-of-3 series to open the AHA playoffs. Last season, the Falcons eliminated the Colonials from playoff contention with a 4-3 win in double overtime. But this time, Robert Morris had home ice advantage. Game 1 was all Air Force until the last 5 minutes of the third period, when Tanner Klimke would score 2 goals to send it into overtime. However, after 4.5 periods of hockey, the Falcons capitalized on a man advantage chance in double overtime to win the game 3-2. Robert Morris would strike back in Game 2 and even the series with a 4-1 dominant win, sending the series to Game 3. The Colonials kept the momentum rolling in the winner-go-home matchup, putting up 5 goals and stopping Air Force's attack. Goalie Charlie Schenkel set the program record with 60 saves and helped send the Colonials to the second round. Colonials win the series 2-1.
Moving over to the hardwood, looking to repeat the success of last season, the men's basketball team traveled to Indy for the Horizon League playoffs. They faced off against the 3-seed Detroit Mercy Titans in the second round. RMU held a narrow lead after the first 20 minutes of play, going up 36-33 going into the locker room. But Detroit Mercy turned up the heat in the second half and ended the Colonial season. RMU falls 70-64 to close out the 25-26 campaign. Looking at the rest of the Horizon League, the top seed Wright State Raiders would go on to win the Horizon League tournament and punch their ticket to March Madness, where they lost to Virginia in the round of 64. While the season is over, there is still breaking news coming out of the tool shed. 3 Colonial starters have all entered the transfer portal. Deshaun Good, Ryan Prather Jr., and Nicolas Chidikudis have all announced they will be moving on from Hoop Township. We will have the full coverage right here on Colonial Sports Center when more news drops, so stay tuned.
The women's basketball team started and ended their 2026 playoff push in a blowout loss against Purdue-Fort Wayne in the first round of the Horizon League playoffs. RMU kept the first half competitive as they took a 3-point lead going into the second quarter. But the Macedons got their offense rolling, taking a 33-29 lead into the locker room. In the second half, the Macedons controlled the game, holding RMU to just 14 points in the second half. Colonial season ends in a loss to Purdue-Fort Wayne, 75-45.
Moving over to the lacrosse team. Since the last time we saw you, both lacrosse teams started conference play for the 25-26 season. Men's lacrosse put up a perfect 2-0 record during the stretch, picking up wins against Bellarmine and Detroit Mercy in their first conference matchup of the year. Callum Brennan led the way, putting up 4 goals in 2 games, while Ben Eck and Dylan Anderson both scored 3 in the wins. Moving to the women's lacrosse team, they opened up MAC play over the break and went 1-2 during that span, dropping games to Binghamton and Youngstown State and picking up their first conference win of the season against Central Michigan. Gabby Puzovic led the way with 4 goals in 3 games, while Mia Berthoff scored yet another hat trick against Central Michigan. Both lacrosse teams also play this weekend, and we will have full coverage of those games coming up later in the show. Cam, you know, we talked about that basketball team right there. Let's take a look at that game. It was the final game of the Colonials' 25-26 season, the reigning Horizon League champions. And in this game, like I said, it's going to be back and forth. And, you know, sometimes it's just not your night, and I think that's what it was for the Colonials.
Yeah, it was. Robert Morris took on the Titans of Detroit Mercy in the Corteva Coliseum over in Indy. That's where the final 5 teams now, that's new this year. Let's take a look at some of those highlights. It's where everyone plays over there in Indy. And I think, Casey, if you watch the highlights of this game from when the ball gets inbounded until half a second before the ball reaches the hoop, you would honestly be under the impression Robert Morris won this game. Robert Morris played a really, really good game. They took really good shots. They played good defense. It just seemed like the story of the night was the shots for Robert Morris, open as they might have been, weren't going in, and Detroit Mercy was hitting some tough shots.
Yeah, and you know, this is an RMU team that this season in Horizon League play beat Detroit Mercy both times they played against them, and it is a kind of common knowledge. I don't know if you want to say superstition almost in the college basketball world. It is tough to beat a team 3 times in one season. Colonials just couldn't get it done. And right there, an ankle breaker right there. Lance Stone was one of the star players for Detroit Mercy because, of course, it was a lot of back and forth. But in that first half, Lance Stone was really great. But Darius Livingston missing a 3 and then a turnover right there. That was a story for a lot of this game why the Colonials lost. Darius Livingston, who has been so good as a freshman, just couldn't find what he is so good at. Even with the looks he had, went 1 for 7 from 3, and the Colonials had 15 turnovers, and Detroit Mercy capitalized.
Yeah, expanding on the fact that Livingston couldn't get going, everyone knows that if an Andy Toole team is going to go, it's going to be off of good defense and it's going to be good three-point shooting. One can't work without the other, because if the three-point shots aren't going in, that can lead to a lot of fast breaks because your defense can't get set. And vice versa. If your defense can't get stops, it's hard to get the offense flowing the way Andy Toole wants it to. And the story of this game, the shots just weren't going in. You mentioned Darius Livingston, 1 for 7 from 3 throughout the year. He's been better after Albert Vargas got hurt. He stepped up into a bigger role. He needed to play a bigger part in this game. And Ryan Prather, who's kind of been the backbone of this team. I know Deshaun Good won Horizon League Player of the Year, but I bet if you asked any of those players, they'd say that Ryan Prather was the heartbeat of this team. Also a big shooter. He went 0 for 4 from behind the arc, and that is just the story of the game. These shots that throughout the course of the year just simply went in for the Colonials just didn't.
Yeah, and Cam, look at this right here. The Colonials bring it back to within 1, get a crucial stop, and then right here, just a lapse in just fortitude, mental fortitude right there. A turnover by Tazir Smith where the Colonials could have had a chance to take the lead, and from there on, they just can't really get back into it. That was a chance if they want to take the lead, but they couldn't find it. Colonials lose this one 70-64. Let's hear final words from Andy Toole, Deshaun Good, and Ryan Prather.
Disappointing to have our season end the way it did today. Give credit to Detroit. I thought they did an excellent job. I thought they, really, came together as a group down the stretch of this season. Coach Montgomery did a phenomenal job with that group. Obviously, Lovejoy played like a senior who didn't want his career to end. And I thought we had some good looks offensively. We weren't able to convert on those, and I think that was really a frustration for us because during the majority of the year we were able to make some of those shots, and tonight it didn't happen for us.
Definitely a blessing. Without Coach Toole, I wouldn't be here. Came from Akron, gave me opportunity, and this year he helped me tremendously. I was super uncomfortable in the summertime, beginning of the season, but he put me in those positions to help get me comfortable, and without that I wouldn't have been able to grow. And he doesn't know how much he helped me, but he's helped me tremendously, more than he knows. And just being around these guys was definitely a blessing. Unfortunately we didn't get it done. I should have did more, but it was just a blessing to be around everybody.
I would definitely say that it was a good season. Just having the coaches and my teammates, they obviously supported me, and without them, I wouldn't be in the position that I was in. And just with them trusting me, allowing me to play my game, it led to what happened. But honestly, I don't get any of that without my teammates or without my coaches believing in me.
Well, those were the final words. You could just see the emotion on Ryan Prather and Deshaun Good's face right there. The last games for the Colonials, and Ryan Prather, who was the only guy who stayed last season, was on this team this season, and it was just a tough end for the Colonials. But, Cam, let's take a look at, like I just said, Ryan Prather was the only one that stayed last season. Let's look at some of the guys who just have entered the portal. One of those guys being Ryan Prather will take his services somewhere else for his senior year. And then, of course, Hiddy Kudus and the Horizon League Player of the Year, Deshaun Good. All their 3 kind of major guys are leaving this season.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's just kind of the way college basketball seems to go in this day and age. But the thing that I want to focus on isn't necessarily who's gone. Although you could argue these 3 are the big core for Robert Morris this year, I'm more concerned with, at least so far, obviously things can change in the future, but so far, who's staying? Josh Hill's still going to be here. He got injured, so he's still here. Darius Livingston's staying. Abenjo's staying. Cook's staying. Andy Toole doesn't look like he's going to have to rebuild the roster from scratch like he did after last year, Case.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting once again to see what team Andy Toole can pull from his shed. But we just talked about Ryan Prather. He was on last year's team. He stayed. One of the guys who was a star of that team, who made it to March Madness and went on to bigger places in the realm of college basketball world, Alvaro Fulgaris, has just moved on to the Elite Eight. He's on Iowa. They beat number 1 Florida in their last game in the round of 32. And now tonight, that game just wrapped up. Iowa finished with a 15-6 run, and Alvaro Fulgaris tonight, 29 minutes, 16 points, 3 steals in that game against Florida. He hit the game-winning shot in the corner to beat number 1 Florida. Yeah. And reigning champions Florida.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable.
Alvaro's been a guy that's really stepped up for Iowa. On the year, he's only averaging 8.5 points. Now, as you said, had a much bigger game. This is that insane clip. I'll tell you, he might not be wearing a Colonial's jersey anymore, but when this shot went in, this whole control room, anyone that has any affiliation to Robert Morris and remembers what Fulgaris meant to that team last year went insane, because you know the Octopus is just a great guy, great basketball player, someone like couldn't happen to a better guy. He points up to the sky for his late father afterwards. I mean, that's his mom. It was just a great moment.
When that happened, I felt like what I imagine a mother bird when their little chick spreads its wings and flies for the first time in front of everyone. That's what I imagine that feeling is like, and what I felt. And it's unbelievable, Cam.
Yeah, Case. All the pageantry that comes with March, one of my favorite times of the year. But the Colonials basketball season is over. We got some seasons that aren't over yet. Softball is still on the horizon here on Colonial Sports Center. Don't go anywhere.
The death of George Floyd, who died in police custody Monday night.
Turning my pain into purpose is pretty much what I have done to start this foundation. It's going to take more than just us, as a foundation. It's going to take the community, the world, to help us make a change, because it just can't be us.
Feel the beat of nature at a park or forest near you. Find a forest and music inspired by nature at discovertheforest.org.
Welcome back to Colonial Sports Center. Now, Cam, of course, we're part of RMU-TV. There's a bunch of other shows, and one of them I used to produce, I think, made something for this show tonight, right?
Yeah, Case, we're going to throw it over to Brett McGulick in Sports Talk in the Berg. Let's see what they've got for us.
Thanks, guys. Coming at you from the Sports Talk podium today, coming off of a show where we talk a little bit about March Madness. That show is live now on RMU-TV. Check it out after this one. But Nate and Nick, I have one question to pose to you guys. We were just talking a lot about March Madness, and we've kind of seen the few dominoes falling from the Colonial side of things. Both Deshaun Good and Ryan Prather Jr. have already announced that they're entering the transfer portal. So going into the next season, is there a surefire guy you guys think this team should keep?
I mean, you're going to see those players leave. We saw it the year when they went to March Madness and Fulgaris left and Dickerson left. But one guy who stayed that I think is the center point of all this success is Andy Toole. The most important thing for RMU, throw whatever money at Andy Toole you want to get him to stay. He is the guy that has this men's basketball program in contention year after year after year. I mean, it would be nice to keep Darius Livingston. It would be nice to keep the guys like Deshaun Good, but the reality is they're either in the portal or they're going to enter the portal. And Andy Toole now is tasked in this current state of basketball to build a roster knowing that if they play good, they're not going to be on the roster the next year?
Yeah, I mean, I worry less about the Colonials looking to keep the guys who played really well and more look for them to bring in strong freshman classes like they have been doing. Because, you know, they blossom into really quality players, and eventually once they perform well, like mid-major teams will have happen, they hit the portal and go on to Power 4 teams or whatever it may be.
There's obviously players that could stay on this team, but they're not going to. Why waste our breath talking about guys who are already looking down the road into the transfer portal? I think that Andy Toole can build a successful roster.
Nick,
Who do you think is going to be staying on this team?
Will or won't, it doesn't matter. Andy Toole is inevitable. If he has 0 returning players or 10 returning players, he is going to fill out his team next year with elite talent, and he will be right back in the Horizon League conversation again. So, Brett, no, there isn't any particular player that needs to be focused on bringing back. Whoever may be interested in for like a good price, don't necessarily look to overspend on anybody. Just focus on continuing to do the things the way you've been doing it in the off season.
Well, that's our thoughts here at the podium. I'm going to send it back to Cam and Casey at the desk. Guys, what are your thoughts?
Brett, I could not agree with my roommate, Nate Fennell, anymore. Andy Toole is inevitable, no matter what. Death, taxes, Andy Toole being a dog, Case.
Yeah, of course. It's just a true statement. I mean, no matter how much you think this roster can get scrambled, it's just comes back, and the Colonials find a way, and they've found their footing in the Horizon League. They will never be toast. And so let's go move on, though, because that season has ended. And so let's look at another team that was in the playoffs. Let's go to men's hockey and see how this series went. This was their semifinal series against Sacred Heart, and in this one, the first 2 games, it was split 1-1. Robert Morris got their first win on the season against Sacred Heart after 3 previous games, including that game 1. And the Colonials scored 5 goals in that one. Tanner Klimke 2 goals in that one. In Cam, it would all come down to the 3rd and final game of the series for who goes to the finals, but the Colonials get shut out 5-0 on this one and to close out their season. But Cam, you can't help but be positive seeing a semifinal appearance just a few years after this program is jump-started back into existence.
No, Case, it's literally all about continuing to build this program, and that's all that's happened. And so, yeah, would it have been nice to win it all? Duh. But the fact that they even made it there, just continuing to add blocks on the stepping stone back to being a good program.
Yeah, and Cam, you're going to see this team in a NCAA tournament again someday soon if it keeps going on this trajectory. But coming up after this, we're going to tell you about possibly the greatest team in Robert Morris Colonial Sports history. So you're going to stick around right here. It's going to get saucy. It's going to get bombs. Coming up here on Colonial Sports Center.
When you adopt a shelter pet, you discover their unique mix of all kinds of traits.
Where'd Wiley go? Where's Wiley? Ah, there she is. Paw?
Do you remember being an ancient wolf? Do you ever feel the call of the wild?
You're a renegade cop, and I'm a con woman with nothing to prove. But together, we could really solve this murder.
They're a little bit of a lot of things. but all of them are pure love.
Welcome back here on Colonial Sports Center. As Case said before we went to break, we are going to take a look at the softball team. They have been one of the best teams I've ever seen to don a Colonial's uniform. Let's take a look at their series versus Green Bay. And Case, I'll tell you what, these girls are really eating their Wheaties in the morning.
Yeah, it's just unbelievable. I mean, what are they feeding these girls? They're going to be on the box of Wheaties. They should be, with how many bombs they are hitting. It is unbelievable. They trounce Green Bay in this series. I mean, look, Mercy Rule in a Horizon League matchup. I mean, oh my goodness, this team, it's unparalleled.
Yeah, Case, on the back of 9 home runs in 3 games. Believe it or not, that's not too far off their average pace. They're averaging over 2 home runs a game, and we're going to hear a little bit more about that from Joey Dramasic. Joey, take it away.
Thanks, guys. The softball team is then off to a very hot start this season, and taking a look at last year's numbers with 50 home runs, 289 runs, and 193 RBIs. So far this season, they're on pace to break a lot of those records. So let's take a look at the math of what their projected totals could be by the end of the season. Last year, they played 48 games. They have so far played 21 games. So far through this season, with home runs, they have 43 home runs. We're going to divide that by the total games played with 21, and after we do this simple division right here, we're going to get a total of 2.05 home runs per game. And we're going to times that by 27, the games that they have to reach to get up to the 48 mark of last year. So 2.05 times 27 with a total of 55.3. And then we're going to add the 43 homers they have right now to the 55.3, and then we will get a total of 98.3, round down because it is 3 at the end, with a total of 98 home runs projected by the end of the season if they were to play 48 games. Now we're going to do the same math for runs and RBIs. So far of runs this season, they have 212. Do the same math up here. They will be on pace for a total of 485 runs by the end of the season, again, with the 48 games. In RBIs right now, they already have surpassed the 193 mark with 195 through 21 games. Do the same math like usual, 446 RBIs on the season if they were to play 48 games. Just some historic and explosive numbers by this softball team if they kept up at the same pace. Just a few things to consider here. They have 24 more regular season games, assuming they play 2 to 3 more games in the Horizon League tournament. That would get them up to the 48 mark. And if they were to win the Horizon League tournament, that'd be another 3 games in the NCAA tournament. So just some historic numbers here for the softball team. And who knows, if they keep up with this pace, we'll be looking at one of the most historic seasons in RMU softball history. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Joey. To hear more about how this offense is pancaking the ball all around the yard, we're going to head to Jex Varner.
I knew that we, obviously, with Courtney and Mary and K-Dog, Kaylin Hoff returning, we had a really, highly successful hitters last year that were coming back and in a great spot. When you have Sequoia Dunlap, who was basically came back from a redshirt year, her first year at Towson, fully got healthy at the end, or not healthy, but fully kind of wrapped her head around the D1 game last year, by the end of last year, and she showed up in the biggest moment. So you know there's going to be a progression for her the next year. And so those were 5 immediate pieces we were returning just like that. So that's over half of your lineup we knew that we had. And when we were able to go get Aglaya and Ellie out of the transfer portal, I knew we had something really, really special.
Great to hear from Jex Varner about just how electric this softball team's offense has been. Case, on to lacrosse.
Yeah, that softball team, orange juiced up for sure. But let's go over to this lacrosse teams, because these are teams that are trying to French toast stick around in the standings. The men's team at 7-3 after this win against Cleveland State. They play Lemoyne on Saturday at 3 o'clock here at home. But the women's team, however, they fall to 3-7 after a blowout loss to Notre Dame. They play it against UMass before that men's game at noon on Saturday at home as well. So different kind of, it's kind of the exact opposite almost in records and where they stand in terms for these two teams.
Yes, it is, Case. When we come back, it's everyone's favorite time of the week, top 5 plays. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome back to Colonial Sports Center. Let's see women's basketball. Found my heart out there in the open. Streets make you feel smaller. Can't help but get lost again. If I need a break, know where I'm going. Where the water's flowing, I'd rather be floating. If it's something that can count on to be free.
Feel the beat of nature at a park or forest near you. Find a forest and music inspired by nature at discovertheforest.org.
Welcome back to Colonial Sports Center. We've got a full English of top 5 plays right here. Let's get into number 5. You're going to go over to men's hockey in that Game 2 victory. The first goal right here goes to Tanner Klimke. It's a wrister one-timer right in front of the net. The veteran Tanner Klimke, he just did not gift that one in the mouth. What a goal.
On to the number 4 play of the week. Ben Eck finds Callum Brennan. He goes up high where mama hides the cookies for number 4 play of the week.
Yeah, Cam, those cookies, though, got to have oatmeal in them, too. Of course, to keep that nutrition going. But on to number 3, it is women's lacrosse. It's a shake, it's a bacon, and it's a goal for right there, the winning goal. Jade Dodo with that one to win 8-7 against Central Michigan.
On to the number 2 play of the week. Tanner Klimke's going to wind up with this loose puck, brings it across center ice, and he's going to go right past the waffle net of the glove for the number 2 play of the week, 3rd goal of the game for Robert Morris.
And on to number 1. Cam, who is it? It's softball! Oh my goodness, and it's the star Courtney Pulich. Wha-bam! That one is back. Boogie bomb gone! A big-time home run, and that was the game where they would blow out and mercy rule Cleveland State. This team is just unbelievable. Courtney Pulich is just incredible, and you're going to see so many dingers for these next few weeks.
Yeah, Casey, I'll tell you, some of the home runs she hits, don't get me wrong, it's impressive to get the ball over the fence, but some of these balls she's hitting, I swear, if you took the fence, doubled it, she's still jogging around the bases.
Yeah, it is just unbelievable. Kim, let's get into our games to watch because if you can't guess my game to watch, you got to keep watching this softball team. They're just that electric. They got a series against Oakland, and can you guess who to watch? Courtney Pulich, just electric. You can expect her. She might hit her 16 home run from last season this weekend. You might see that. And for Oakland, watch out for Cameron Troyer. And it's going to be a good series. You're going to see a lot of runs being scored.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this one. It's not just Pulich. It's Rudd. It's Thatcher. It's Brandt. There's a whole host. They even got Sequoia Dunlap back. This offense is an absolute juggernaut, Case.
Yeah, but that's all we've got for Colonial Sports Center. See you all next week. Have a good night.